The Atlanta Falcons are a team that nobody is talking about. I don't know if it's because they don't love their quarterback or it's because they just don't think they've got it yet. I don't know. But when you look at the Atlanta Falcons, they've added juice. They've got a quarterback that could do it. Defensively, they're okay. So in this video, we're going to share about how they just signed a defensive tackle that nobody knows of, nobody's even heard of, but it was a rookie mini camp tryout guy that they have officially signed. So we'll look at that in just a second. If you're new to the channel, welcome. We are Detroit Lions fans. Our main channel is Sports Talk Detroit, talk about all about the Lions. But we have this channel. We cover teams that don't get the coverage from the national media like they should. Atlanta Falcons, exactly one of those teams, and stories that they're never going to touch. This is one of those stories. So this is an unknown defensive tackle. Let's look at it right here. So what they did was the Falcons signed 3 mini camp tryout players. So they invite a bunch of people. Only a few can actually get to training camp, and that's like the part of the 90, and they got to cut that all the way down to 53. So this is something that's kind of interesting. We're going to look at this. So receiver Chris Blair, defensive lineman Albert Huggins, and a kicker Matthew Trickett. Who cares about the kicker? Receiver Chris Blair. I'm interested in the defensive lineman. I love offense and defensive linemen because these guys are just hard to find. So you always kind of want to grab them up. Maybe you cut them, whatever, like, but get them. So Albert Huggins is a guy that, again, nobody knows anything about. And again, is he going to be your guy that goes on to do all these amazing things for you? Maybe not though, right? But here's the thing about this guy. Goes to Clemson. He's 6'3", 305 pounds. Hard to find. He can play inside and outside. He was originally signed with the Houston Texans back in 19 as an undrafted free agent. Okay, from there he goes to the Philadelphia Eagles after spending a couple weeks with the Houston Texans. He goes to the Philadelphia Eagles. They pick him right up and they take him off of the practice squad. So the thing about the practice squad, if you take somebody off the practice squad, then they have to play on your main roster. You can't just be bouncing guys. Hey, actually, you know what? I want you on my practice squad. If you take someone from the practice squad, they have to play. So Philadelphia Eagles pick him up. He plays for 4 games and then goes to the New England Patriots that same season. A couple weeks later, he was claimed off waivers after he was cut by the Philadelphia Eagles. Then he goes back to the Philadelphia Eagles. Seriously, this is all in the same season. Then he goes back to the Houston Texans, who originally picked him up. Then he goes to the Detroit Lions. Then he goes to the Minnesota Vikings. Then he goes back to the Detroit Lions. Then he goes to the New Orleans Saints, and now here he is with the Atlanta Falcons. Why do I tell you all this? All those teams in just 3 years. It's because I think everybody sees something in this guy. And they're like, dude, I think you've got something. Again, 6'3", 305 from Clemson. He's played in regular season games. He's either like literally practice squad or right on the roster. He's only 25 years old. And so if you're an Atlanta Falcons fan, here's why it matters to you. And you let me know your thoughts in the comments. You look at the defensive line depth and you just wonder who you have and what you can do. So kind of running a 3-4 at times. This guy can play all 3 positions on the defensive line. So now you bring him in and you don't have a ton of depth on the defensive line. And when you look at it, linebackers aren't terrible. Secondary, Jesse Bates, I love. Jeff Okudah. You might have something there with Jeff Okudah. I mean, let's just talk about that real quick. Being a Lions fan, watching Jeff Okudah right from the beginning, guy comes in, it's COVID, he gets injured, and he's with Matt Patricia, and it just never takes off. He takes all the second years completely off, comes back his 3rd year, last year, plays well. I mean, plays pretty well, but not quite either, though. That's the thing. Man, made some plays. You're like, oh, Okudah, let's go, baby. And then also just disappeared at times and just wasn't even on the field. And so you're like, man, haven't heard Okudah's name called. He must be tearing it up. Oh, actually, he hasn't been on the field. That's why you haven't heard his name. So because he's not doing well. And the coach is like, yeah, let's just get you off. So, but with that being said, it was just a good trade for both teams. Okudah, hey, man, thank you for everything. But I think it's just best if you give it a go at another organization. The Lions are kind of trying to rid themselves of all of the old Patricia guys too, like literally just as a symbolic Hawkinson, Okuda, Swift. Yeah, see ya. We're going to move on. And then for the Falcons, it's like, I don't know. Let's just see what happens. And I think he's a starting corner in this league. There's no question about that. So you get Okuda. So your secondary is all good. Linebackers, okay. Defensive line, Grady Jarrett, I like. Calais Campbell. He's getting older, man. How old is this guy? He's getting older. So you've got, let's just get the defensive line right. And again, there's not a lot of guys running around the National Football League or anywhere that you can just grab. So it's like, grab this guy. He's been all over the place. And so for an opportunity to try him out and then to get him, I think it's a really good, again, this is small. I get it, but it may not be, because he's a player that can play all three positions. I think 3-4 really fits him. We saw this as the Lions with John Kaminsky. Yeah, that's right. Your guy, John Kaminsky, can't fit in with the Falcons. He's just hasn't done anything in his career for the first 3 years, just nothing. Comes to the Lions last year, a stud. He plays inside, outside, does everything for us. Need him. We just re-signed him, and it was like one of the biggest re-signings. The Lions absolutely had to have John Kaminsky. Exactly. John Kaminsky? What has he ever done? And you look at his stats, it's not even that great either, but he has an ability to play inside, outside, do a whole lot of different things that the Lions needed. Like, he was a huge part of our defense. This is what this guy can be as well, that you never know. And that is the big thing about Albert Huggins, is if Albert Huggins, these are the types of players, though, that you absolutely need to, like, shine and come out of nowhere as you're rebuilding and trying to come back out of just like, oh man, are we good? Are we not? Then the Falcons are just kind of in this no man's land. You gotta have you're drafting well. You're drafting studs, I think, right? I think your running back Bijan's going to be great. You're drafting studs, but then you need a couple of just out of the blue, I have no idea where you came from, I don't even know who you are person to shine. That's how it works. And that's what the Lions have had the last year. John Kaminsky, James Houston, guys that were nothing, didn't even know who they were. And now they're a big, big part of the defense. So let me know your thoughts in the comments on this, where you think you stand defensively, offensively, just, and why, like I said, the Falcons aren't getting the love from the national media. I don't think they think it's going to be a very good season, but the NFC South wide open. I mean, come on, just wide open. Just go take it. Win the division, home playoff game, and then what up? You could be in the playoffs with a home playoff game, Atlanta Falcons. So let me know your thoughts in the comments on this, and we will see all of you on the next one. Make sure you subscribe. Again, we cover Sports Talk Detroit's our main channel. You can check that out, but we also cover teams that don't get the coverage like they should.